Hey beautiful people, so I'm back with another video, but in this video I want to talk about chapter 13 bankruptcy, and I have a lot of different things I want to discuss. So if you see me looking down, there's just some notes that I took because I don't want to make sure I miss out on anything, because chapter 13 bankruptcy is very serious. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, make sure you leave a comment, and make sure you should like the video, and let me know if you have any other questions. So let's get straight into it. Remember, I'm not an attorney. You got to make sure you consult with an attorney, somebody that actually does bankruptcy. I can only tell you about what I know, and then too, you have to go ahead and do more further research. I just kind of want to give you a few things I want you to think about when it comes down to chapter 13 bankruptcy, and you take it and run. Now, chapter 13 bankruptcy is when you go ahead and let's look at this client too. This credit report I always use, you guys. So let's look at this client. This client may say, hey, I want to file chapter 13, or I want to file bankruptcy. So this client has two options. They can file chapter 7 or they can file chapter 13. Chapter 7 is where you see this client, they say they got 5 derogatory marks, they're collections. That's when they'll add all of these different debts that this client may have, all the different debts that the client have, and they'll just wipe it away. That's chapter 7. So chapter 7 bankruptcy, everything gone. Now chapter 13 bankruptcy, everything's not going to be gone in terms of you're going to have to pay on it. Chapter 13 bankruptcy is when you're going to have to pay the chapter 13 trustee. That's when you're going to actually have to pay your attorney to tell you all about it. But that's when you have to pay every month towards paying off these debts or paying a certain amount towards the debts. Now, after 3 years, 3 to 5 years, you get to pick either or, but it's going to be really dependent on your income. The rest of the amount that you may owe, say if you only have to pay $200 every month, and say if your debts far exceed that, after you pay your $200 every month on time, the rest of that amount is going to be wiped out, so you don't have to worry about paying it. But remember, that's chapter 13 bankruptcy where you're making payment. Chapter 7 is everything is gone. But depending on if you have property and assets, it's going to be different in terms of what you want to do. So a lot of reasons why people want to file bankruptcy, they want to just file bankruptcy because they're going through a divorce. Maybe they have too many debts. Maybe they want to get sued right now and they have a property that they want to keep. A lot of times, if they don't have assets, they'll just file chapter 7. So everything will be wiped out and they don't have to worry about paying anybody. But remember too, you only can file these different things every so often. I forgot the exact amount. I think it's like 4 years. You're able to file this chapter 7 or chapter 13 every few years in terms of a certain amount of years, but just make sure you look it up and look at the research on that. But I know that when you go ahead and file, you can't file again until that set amount of time. So make sure that when you're filing, you go ahead and go through with it, because you can't file again if you mess up or if you stop paying or if something was to happen. So a lot of times people going through divorce, they're like, hey, I'll just file chapter 13 because I have so many debts and I'll just go ahead and just pay it off. So let's get into everything. Don't forget, your income is going to be dependent upon, when it's chapter 13, your income is going to be dependent upon how much you're going to pay in terms of how much you're going to be paying towards these debts. They're going to see how much disposable income you have left after you pay your major bills to be able to pay these debts off. Remember, if you don't have if you don't have any income, there's no way you can technically do chapter 13 bankruptcy because you do not have an income to pay towards anything. And remember, if you don't have assets, chapter 13 bankruptcy, to me personally, I wouldn't do it. I'll just do chapter 7, get everything wiped out, and then call it a day. So when it comes down to after you go ahead and look at the accounts that you may want to get deleted. So let's look at this account, this client's credit reports. So they have a lot of different debts on their credit reports. So let's see, they have $7,000 worth of collections. They may go ahead and throw that into a chapter 7 or a chapter 13. But if they throw it into a chapter 13, don't forget, I know this client's income is really, really slow. They'll have to pay on it for 3 years. They'll be paying these debts off that they have. This credit card that they have here that they have maxed out, $432, they'll throw that in there too. Don't forget, student loans cannot be included in terms of, they cannot be charged off in bankruptcy. You have to pay your student loans, especially if they're federal student loans. So keep that in mind. A lot of people think, well, I'm going to throw my student loans and never get them wiped out. I wish. You cannot include federal student loans into your bankruptcy. So if you have federal student loans, they're going to stay where they're at, and a lot of times too, they're going to want you to pay them separately. But I know a few clients that had some student loans, and when they had the student loans, what they did was they just put that on hold. They didn't make them pay it at all while they were in bankruptcy. And sometimes too, they even closed out your student loans until after you're done with the bankruptcy, and then they set up some type of payment agreement. But don't forget too, if your income is really, really low, you can do a $0 payment amount, but make sure you check too. They have something called the income driven repayment plan with your student loans. So don't worry too much. Go ahead and sign up for that. And if you have your student loans in some type of default, then you'll have to do the rehabilitation to help towards getting those out. But I have a video on YouTube about student loans, so go ahead and check it out. Now, when you want to get another loan, it's going to be hard for you to get more loans now because you have a bankruptcy on your credit report. Bankruptcy on your credit report can drop your credit score anywhere from 80 to 200 points. It's really going to damage your credit score depending on how high your credit score is at the time. But don't forget, you can always bounce back, and I'm going to get into how you can bounce back after you do a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, or even how to avoid a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So if you want to go ahead and get an FHA loan after you file Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you're going to only have to wait 1 year from the day that you actually sign up, in terms of you start making payments, should I say. After you start making payments on your bankruptcy, you have to wait 1 year. So they want to see 1 year of on-time payments. You'll have to get permission from the trustee. The trustee is somebody that they put in charge of looking over your bankruptcy, making sure that you're paying on time and everything is good. So your trustee would have to give you permission. A lot of times too, if you can afford to buy a house and they feel like it is a good option for you, it's a great investment, they'll go ahead and agree to it. But too, don't forget, it's going to damage your credit a lot. So we want to talk about what you want to do to fix your credit after you file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Now, if you have any assets, Chapter 13 bankruptcy is good to help protect those assets, because now you're paying off those debts. If you do that Chapter 7, they're going to try to get rid of a lot of those assets to pay off your debts. But again, talk to your attorney about this. I just want to let you know, with Chapter 13 bankruptcy, maybe you will have some type of asset protection. Don't forget, I already went over your student loan, so I guess we ain't got to do that. Mortgage loan, depending on what type of loan you want to do, like FHA is a government-backed loan, so that's when it's easier to get. Usually, I want you to have a 580 credit score. Before the corona, you can get an FHA loan with a 500 credit score. Now the corona is around, they're like, no, we're not messing with y'all. Get y'all credit score to a 620 or higher, which is not bad anyway, if you really think about it. But with a mortgage loan, depending on what you end up getting, sometimes you have to wait 4 years to be able to get a mortgage when you file bankruptcy. So keep that in mind when you file bankruptcy. It's going to stop you from doing a lot of different things. Now, when you want to go get a car, it's easy to get a car no matter what your situation is. Getting a car is very easy. The only thing is how much you're going to have to put down on your car, and then on top of how much you have to possibly put down, you have to think about what your interest rate is going to be. They're going to charge you a lot for all these different loans now because you filed Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So keep that in mind. And if you think about doing any federal housing, you want to call them and see, how is this going to affect me in terms of getting a loan when you go into federal housing? Or not in terms of getting a loan, in terms of having any type of federal housing, if I was to charge off these loans and do a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. But again, let's talk more about what's going to happen when you file it, and then too, what you can do if you want to avoid it to make sure that your credit is where it needs to be. So if this client was to file bankruptcy, they're going to include all of their debts. So right now, their total debts are actually here. So it's about, about $8,000 worth of debts. So all of these debts, they're going to include in their Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Their income is low, so they're going to pay on it for 3 years. But don't forget too, sometimes your attorney was going to look on your credit reports, and they're going to put all of the negative accounts onto your bankruptcy. Sometimes they're going to try to add positive accounts. And when I say positive accounts is you do not owe this company, you're in good standing with them, it's a positive credit card, you do not want them to add them on. Even though you owe a balance, they'll try to add them on. Do not add that onto your bankruptcy. At least I wouldn't add them onto the bankruptcy, because now they're going to cut that access off to that credit card, and now you cannot have a relationship with that credit card. I see a lot of people have these accounts added on, and now they cannot get that account anymore. Now they're like, you file bankruptcy, we don't want to give the account anymore, we shut the account off, even though that balance is going to be included into your bankruptcy, especially if you want to keep a relationship with them. Keep that in mind in terms of do not add that account on. Now don't forget, some accounts will not be on your credit reports, especially if you already start doing credit repair, you want to dig up anything that you have. You want to get all your papers together, like, hey, this company Ben told me I owe them. Make sure you add them onto the bankruptcy. That way, when you add them onto the bankruptcy, now when you pay all your bills on time, if you have a balance left over, everything else will be discharged. You don't have to worry about them coming after you later on. Some companies will come after you later on because they're like, hey, did you forget that you owe this balance? You're like, no, I filed bankruptcy. That was not included in your bankruptcy, so you're not protected against that debt. Bankruptcy will protect you against certain debts and certain lawsuits. So if you're getting sued and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting sued, I don't have $30,000, I don't have $10,000, whatever the amount is. A lot of people file bankruptcy chapter 7 or chapter 13 to get that discharge or to stop that debt from garnishing them. So you want to keep that in mind in terms of that may not be on your credit reports, but they're coming after you. So if you look here, TransUnion said this client has $7,900 altogether. And then two, Equifax is saying that the client only had $5,900. So I want you to look at all three of your credit reports and look in the description. I have a link where you can get all three of your credit reports for $1. I do not want you to leave it up to your attorney. You want to be on top of everything that your attorney is doing if you're going to file Chapter 13 bankruptcy. You want to see the accounts that they're including in your bankruptcy, because if it's a positive account, they're going to close it. And you're most likely not going to be able to have a relationship with that bank anymore. Like, they're not going to try to lend to you anymore. Now that you did bankruptcy. So I want you to keep that in mind. Now, say if you do the Chapter 13 bankruptcy, or if you think about doing a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, whatever stage you're in, let me tell you what I need you to do. So if you're thinking about doing Chapter 13 bankruptcy, like, yep, Rickita, I'm going to do it. If you're going to file, you haven't filed yet, I want you to add positive credit cards on your credit reports in terms of applyforkickoff.com. Look in the description. I have it below. Applyforkickoff.com. It's going to really help you. Apply for self-lender, but this is the key thing, you guys. Do not include these positive accounts onto your bankruptcy. If you include them, they're going to close them, and now it's not going to help your credit reports anymore. Make sure it's not included. And then two, after you file your Chapter 13 bankruptcy, I want you to get 2 secured credit cards. Look at the description. I have 2 secured credit cards with the credit builder card. Go ahead and get 2 secured credit cards with the credit builder card. If you're in Wisconsin, you cannot do the credit builder card. I want you to do Open Sky and then the Green Dot Platinum credit card. Do both of those. When you do both of those, there will be 2 credit cards on your credit reports and then 2 installments. Kickoff and Self-Lender is installment accounts. So I want you to have 2 installment accounts and 4 credit cards. I have something where you can actually get approved no matter you got a bankruptcy, no matter what your credit score is, you can get approved for $10,000 worth of credit. Now, when I say $10,000 worth of credit, there's a website that'll give you $5,000 worth of credit, but there's 2 different credit cards. They'll approve anybody. When those pop up on your credit report, it's going to shoot your credit score back up, because when that bankruptcy get added on, or if you sign up with us so that we can remove that bankruptcy or stop the bankruptcy from coming on there, your credit score can go up and you don't have to worry about it actually having a huge tank when that bankruptcy come on. So get the 2 $5,000 credit cards. Again, they're on my master credit card list and they're below. Apply for 2 secured credit cards. Don't forget, that's with the credit builder card. That's down below. I don't believe I have Open Sky down below, or I don't believe that I have, what's the other one? Green Dot Platinum. I don't believe that I have them down below, but that's going to give you 4 credit cards. You're going to get the Kickoff, and you're going to Kickoff, and you're going to do Self-Lender. I'm kind of trying to remember all of this, but no matter if you're about to file bankruptcy or if you already filed, these are the steps that I want you to take. No matter what's going on, if you have negative items on your credit reports, I want you to call me right away so we can work on removing any negative accounts that's on your credit reports, or to stop that bankruptcy from coming onto your credit reports. So that's another thing. If you have these negative accounts that's on your credit reports, that's what's going to actually drop your credit score and stop you from actually buying a home. So I want you, a lot of people, they want to buy a home in 1 or 2 years. So I want you to keep that in mind. If your target is for you to buy a home, or like, hey, Rickita, I'm just going to do this now, and in a year or 2, I want to buy a home, I want you to start wiping those negative accounts off. Look in the description, schedule a call. Let's look at your credit reports. You can get your credit reports from Identity IQ. It's only $1 for the first 7 days. Sign up to get your credit reports so we can see what's going on. But like I said, too, I want you to have 2 installment accounts. One more time, 2 installment accounts. That would be the Self-Lender and Kickoff, And then I want you to do 2 secure credit cards with the credit builder card. So they'll give you 2 of them, and these will be $200 that you'll have to put down because they're secured. They don't trust you right now, but that's fine. After you get these credit cards, and after a while, making sure that Bankruptcy now your credit reports, I can help you get approved for more credit cards. We just have to wipe the negative accounts off and then get you the secure credit cards. So I want you to do the credit builder card. If you're in Wisconsin, you can't do the credit builder card. I want you to do the Open Sky credit card, and I want you to do the Green Dot Platinum. So go ahead and sign up for those credit cards. Don't forget, the master credit card list has over 100 credit cards. I want you to get the 2 $5,000 credit cards and add them onto your credit reports because it's going to really boost your credit score up. Again, Chapter 13 bankruptcy is when everything is going to be added onto a payment plan. Payment plan means that you're going to pay on it for 3 to 5 years, depending on your income. 3 years if your income is low, and then 5 years your income is kind of high. So if you like, Rickita, I don't want to pay, I just want everything wiped, then maybe you want to look into a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, especially if you don't have any assets. So if you do have a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, then everything will be wiped out. You don't have to worry about making payments on anything. As soon as that's discharged, hit the ground running. Get your 2 secure credit cards, get your 2 $5,000 credit cards, do the kickoff and do the self-lender, and watch how much your credit score is going to grow. But again, even though you file either bankruptcy, we have to remove the negative items from your credit reports. So make sure you call me so we can work on removing any negative items that you have in your credit reports. Hopefully you guys found this useful. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you leave a like for this video, and make sure you guys subscribe, please. And thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. To make a video about, please let me know. I also have 2 playlists here for you too. So I have a video that I think that you may be interested in. So go ahead and check that video out. And then I also have another video of different videos. Actually, I have another playlist of different videos I think you may find very interesting. So please go ahead and check that out. And don't forget, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.